Hey, Charlie Specht here. Coming at you here on Wednesday, and I have some news for you here. You might have heard this is kind of blowing up social media right now, but there's a big political shakeup going on with Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples Stokes. Now, she has been a long time uh, Assemblywoman representing Buffalo. She came up through the grassroots political organization with Byron Brown, and she has really kind of vehemently pushed for the state's plan for the 33. Uh, she does not want full removal. She wants a tunnel over the 33. And in some cases, seemingly against the wishes of her constituents. You saw some back and forth with the Sean Ryan administration on that in recent days. But today, there's news that Politico New York first broke and has since been confirmed by City and State and by most of the Buffalo TV stations and media outlets of Buffalo News. And I think this is interesting because for a long time, really for the last couple of years, slowly I've been gathering documents about Leah Halton Pope and about specifically her handling of a situation regarding her chief of staff, Damone Smith. Now, Damone Smith is sort of a notorious political operative. He's a former common council member who left City Hall, then headed this job creation agency in Buffalo, the Buffalo Employment Training Center. He resigned there and took a job with the city comptroller, and now he's working for Pope. Why that matters is because I thought it was interesting that Smith took a job where he was going to take a $10,000 pay cut. That didn't seem right to me. Most people wouldn't do that. So, using the Freedom of Information law in New York State, I gathered documentation about some of Smith's conduct while he was at the Employment Training Center. I then took that information and to Halton Pope and asked her what she thought of this, if she was aware of it. Now, her response to my investigation, which the investigation did not has not aired yet, and I'm going to publish that investigation later this week before Saturday when Erie County Democratic Committee meets to decide if Halton Pope is going to succeed Crystal Peoples Stokes. But that investigation really looks into how she handled this and whether she knew about this when she made Smith her chief of staff. Obviously, that goes to her decision making, and I thought it would be illustrative as far as how she responded to this. Her response to me was one of the most bizarre things that I've ever seen in my years as a reporter. She had an extremely strong response, went not only over my head and the heads of my bosses, but to the legal counsel for the company that I worked for at the time. That's apparently how worried or concerned she was as far as these facts coming out. Now, one of my sources who tipped me off to this in the first place had said the plan here is for Leah Halton Pope, who's an Ellicott District Council person, to take over for Crystal Peoples Stokes. Now, this is a plan that, frankly, that has kind of been in the works for a couple of years. I was a Buffalo News political reporter, took over for Bob McCarthy on that, and one of the first things I heard was that this is part of the plan: is to get Leah Halton Pope, who is Crystal Peoples Stokes' chief of staff at one point, to get her put in that seat. It was said that she needed some experience first before she could credibly do that. She then became the Ellicott District councilwoman after Darius Pridgeon stepped down, and then Darius Pridgeon. Then Pope is married to Mark Pope, who was Pridgeon's chief of staff, and who I believe now works in City Hall. But anyway, it just goes to show the nature of kind of the incestuous nature of politics in Erie County. So interestingly, City and State reported today that when assembly person steps down, you would think there would be a special election. So they waited until after Monday They waited until yesterday to announce that she was stepping down, because if she had announced before Monday, then there would have had to have been a special election. Since she announced on Tuesday, and I believe Leah Halton Pope is addressing this as we speak, um, since since she stepped down, since she announced it on Tuesday, there will be no primary now. So this is a very a process that has really been criticized as being pretty undemocratic, especially when you're talking about the Democratic Party. And it's a situation, frankly, that happens all the time in Western New York, where political bosses, not the voters, are choosing our elected leaders. So I'm going to come forward with my investigation later this week, and again, I urge you to subscribe to my Substack page, because at least some of this will be put behind a paywall, specifically the story behind the story, and what I encountered when I reported this. Um, but this is something that is really, I was going to write something about this, but it's really blowing up social media at the moment. And this is one of the great things about independent media, is I can come on directly and I can talk to you and tell you what I'm hearing right now. And I can also, and one of the other things I love, this is actually a perfect story to illustrate this, the fact that now that I've gone independent, I don't have to worry about politicians putting pressure on people above me. I don't have to worry about, um, you know, legal threats or anything like that, as long as I stick to the facts. And I did actually get a response from Leah Halton Pope. It caused quite a scene in Buffalo City Hall about a month ago when this all went down. I also got Smith to respond to some of those allegations. And so you're going to see all that on my investigation. And I urge you to, if you can, just please subscribe. And this is the kind of thing that makes this work possible. But just wanted to take a minute here to say that while you're making sense of all this coverage in the news here, there is a story behind the story, and we're going to come out with that later this week. Thanks.